enter the gallery, you are constrained to an observation deck that navigates through the center of the space. And around this deck is hundreds of micro-thin translucent tiles. And in the tiles are embossed these silhouettes of swallows. And they're backlit, and that's the only source of light in the exhibition. I wanted to create a kind of ethereal, contemplative environment, a really quiet space, for me to contemplate like our own mortality and dealing with like transience and loss in life, and kind of how individuals and cultures come to terms with these things. And that kind of ties in with like why I chose the imagery of the silhouettes of the birds. Because of its kind of vast migratory patterns, it's really influenced a lot of cultures over time. Back in like the ancient Egypt, they believed that swallows were the souls of the dead, and that they were kind of a transcendental and kind of liminal guide that could fly between the material world and the unknown. And I found that quite beautiful, and so I really liked to incorporate the bird in that sense. And then through my research, I found that many cultures have adapted kind of similar notions with the swallow. It's seen as a harbinger of a new day. Before we were able to predict the weather, they were considered a predictor as well. When a lot of swallows were flying in, that meant, well, spring's coming. When they departed, that was an indicator of winter. And Charo wrote a really beautiful exhibition essay for this project, and she talks about how some cultures believed that when winter came and they left en masse, that they would actually fly under and into frozen lakes and stay there until the seasons changed. And formally, I really like that kind of metaphor because of just the layout of the exhibition. You kind of feel like you're seeing these birds frozen underneath like a very thin sheet of ice. And it's quite poetic in that sense. The swallow is broken up into its kind of syllables in a sense. The reason I did that is to kind of slow the word down, and also to kind of open up the meanings of it. Whereas like swallow is also a digestive process, and in being a contemplative environment, it's about like processing, and also the orientation of how you're seeing these birds is inversed. So then with the breakdown of the word, you also see low in there, and it kind of talks about your relationship to this installation, which is kind of contrary to our normal experience with birds. But when thinking about impermanence and the ineffable and mortality, I think it's quite apt.